Prima Media's Resources Watch highlights some major events that took place during the year. South Africa's second largest coal miner, Exxaro Resources, is moving ahead with plans to generate clean energy.
It's critical for us to note that we get into these things not because it's some social responsibility kind of thing, but you can make money out of this one because these are good businesses. I mean, if you look at the tariffs that have been published by the department, they show clearly that you will make money. And we truly believe that in time, even the coal business and the renewable business should probably run neck and neck insofar as cost is concerned. So it is good business.
The super tax proposed in the African National Congress's nationalisation-rejecting study earlier this year isn't good for mining, says African Rainbow Minerals Executive Chairperson Patrice Motsepe.
What worries me about the ANC document is this tax issue. The tax issue is not good for mining. You have to have a globally competitive mining dispensation. I'm not saying we shouldn't pay tax, we have to make our contribution. But at the end of the day, what the government gets and what the mining companies get it's got to be competitive, it's got to be mutually beneficial. If you have a mining tax dispensation that is excessive, it's going to have a hugely negative impact. It's a fact.
Royal Bafokeng Platinum CEO Steve Phiri called for the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the Lonmin killings to have the broadest possible terms of reference.
I would be very much happy if the terms of reference are all-inclusive. You don't have to include everything possible that you think could cause the flaring up that we have seen. But I would also want to see it quite broader to say that should include all the violences that we have seen all over the country unrelated to the mining industry, because there is always a temptation to say, aha, mining companies, we told you you're not doing enough for workers, you're not doing enough for communities. And you ignore other things, other events that take place in Gugule too, for example, where there is no mine. In East London, whatever, in Port Elizabeth, wherever these incidents are taking place when lives are being lost. So it is a pattern, it's becoming a culture that when we complain, we kill, we burn, we destroy. So it has to be very much inclusive to say what is happening with us, South Africans.
DRD Gold CEO Neil Pretorius believes high Australia-level mining taxes are more preferable to the fuzzy, indeterminable social obligations imposed on South Africa's mining companies.
As government finds itself less and less capable of delivering into some of these social imperatives, which is what's keeping them re-elected, getting them re-elected, and they try to transfer more and more of those into the lap of the private sector, that we could become less competitive. A whole lot of the social obligations around housing and health and education and so forth are being transferred from the actual custodian of those obligations, government, into the mines as a condition to their licenses. And that's almost a hidden tax. And it's also a counterproductive tax as far as I'm concerned, because the more you've got to spend on that, the fewer people you would want to employ. So you're certainly not going to be creating more and more jobs if you're going to have to deliver into all of these obligations in order to keep your license.
The changing dynamics of the gold market over the past 10 years have led to an active investor-driven market, says precious metals consultancy Thomson Reuters GFMS Global Head of Precious Metals, Paul Walker.
Our house view at GFMS is that the macroeconomic news flow that we've seen over the last 3 months, which has been broadly favourable, at least the green shoots of recovery that some people have been talking about, we don't buy that view. We think there's going to be a slowdown as we move into the second, third, and certainly towards the fourth quarter of this year and into next year. There's going to be a requirement for the central banks to intervene again. QE3 will be back on the agenda, the kind of balance sheet expansions, all the things that have played into gold's hands over the last 3 or 4 years, we believe will probably come back onto the radar screen.
Fuel from coal producer Sasol Mining's new 3.5 billion rand Tubalisha shaft at the Twist Dry Colliery in Mpumalanga was officially opened in mid-May by Mineral Resources Minister Susan Shabangu.
there can be no doubt of the critical role coal will continue to play in our country's energy landscape, long into our nation's future. With our other government departments, we're looking forward to working with yourselves in partnership in making sure that coal continue to be positive and contribute towards our socio-economic development.
JSE-listed coal miner Keaton Energy, which now has a 2.7 million tonne a year coal production platform in place across 2 operations, is vigorously pursuing organic and acquisitive growth in order to hit its new 5 million tonne a year stretch target.
Well, look, we set ourselves a 2 million tonne target 5 years ago. At the time, that appeared a stretch target as well. We are there, the production platform's established. To take it to the next level, we can use our existing portfolio, pipeline of development assets, and that will take us some of the distance there, but we are actually looking for acquisitive growth for new and additional projects.
Rock drilling equipment manufacturer Mincon, in association with truck manufacturer Western Star Trucks, has handed over a 35-tonne custom-built 4900 series Western Star truck to Boyson Bore Drilling Company.
This is a Western Star 4900 series truck. It's a custom-built 8x6 chassis. What that means is it's got 8 wheels, 6 of which are driven, so that the truck is capable of going up and down very steep inclines on a mine. It's fitted with a Detroit diesel Series 60 engine that puts out about 500 horsepower. It then also has an Allison 6-speed automatic transmission. The reason why we use automatic transmissions is just that it makes the vehicle a lot easier to operate with unskilled drivers, which is quite important. You know, I mean, this machine weighs almost 40 tons, so it needs to be easy to drive.
Anglo-American Platinum has launched the first of 5 fuel cell powered locomotive prototypes to be tested at its mining operations in South Africa. The first locomotive will be surface tested over the next few months at the company's Komanani mine in Rustenburg to establish the viability of commercialization.
This is a great day for South Africa. It marks the next step in the development of a new industry, which we believe will establish the country as a leader in the evolution of fuel cell technology. In the process, it will create thousands of sustainable, clean technology jobs. This prototype will be monitored and enhanced before 4 more locos are produced and piloted on a platinum mine to determine the full-scale viability.
Commodities trader Glencore laid out what it said was a final $36 billion takeover offer for Xstrata in early September, warning the miner's investors it wouldn't improve the terms again after making concessions to entice recalcitrant shareholders.
Glencore says its improved $36 billion offer for Anglo-Swiss miner Xstrata is final. The commodities giant has offered 3.05 of its shares for each Xstrata one after a 2.8 offer was rejected. But it's still less than key Xstrata shareholder Qatar Holdings with its 12% stake wants. If the merger goes ahead, it will be Glencore's CEO Ivan Glasenberg who'll head up the combined group, not Xstrata's Mick Davis as previously planned. Glencore denies that turns a merger proposal into a takeover bid. But Rupert Nathan, a mining analyst at Fat Profits, isn't convinced.
That's what they've suggested right from the very beginning, that this is a merger of equals. We've contended, however, that this really is not the case, that whilst on financial terms that indeed Xstrata are bringing far more to the party, that there is no doubt as to who's in the driving seat, and that's Glasenberg and Glencore.
Mega mining mergers of this sort are rare. If the deal falls over and Xstrata's share price falls, it's rumoured Qatar could take a bigger stake.
Many have suggested that Xstrata's share price could come tumbling away. One possibility has been rumoured that the Qataris were willing to buy up to 25% of Xstrata in those circumstances. Now surely to Mr. Glasenberg that would be a nightmare scenario.
Other analysts say the Xstrata board will in fact find the new offer hard to refuse. They'll make their decision known by September 24th. Edward Barron, Reuters.
That's a roundup of some of the headline makers for 2012. Stay logged on to miningweekly.com to see which markets will steal the show in the coming year.